Greetings and welcome to the ROIClear podcast. My name is Ray Hightower, and today we are fortunate to have as our guest Ms. Myra Rowan. Myra Rowan is founder of Livingstone Capital Investments LLC, based in St. Louis, Missouri. Myra is a photographer and a real estate investor and an Airbnb investor, multifamily investor, and a business leader. She has her hands or her has many irons in the fire. Let's put it that way. She's doing many things at once, and we look forward to exploring some of those things with her today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Myra Rowan. Welcome, Myra.
Ray, hi. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored. This is my first podcast.
Okay. All right.
And when I met you back in February, I guess it was February in Phoenix, never imagined I'd be on, but you were such a delight then, and I'm so glad to get this opportunity just to even have that conversation with you. So,
well, yeah, that's very kind of you to say. Yeah, it's an opportunity for us as well. We enjoy talking to business leaders who are doing many things as you are, and with a common focus of serving others. So let's dive right in. And I think to begin, why don't we start with an elevator pitch where you can tell us a little bit about you. And for those who are new to the ROIClear podcast, Myra Rowan is on an elevator with someone she wants to influence. So we're going to ask her, what would you say to that person in the course of an elevator ride?
all right. My company, Livingstone Capital Investments, helps passive investors grow their wealth through strategic real estate investments, offering sound, steady returns in the double digits. Ray, do you like double digits?
I like double digits.
I like double digits too.
Wow. All right. So that's very attractive. We would exchange business cards at this point. Tell us a little bit about your deals. Like what is the deal that you're especially proud of that you've done? It could be something recent or something years ago that you especially like to I wouldn't say boast. Well, yeah, let's say boast about.
Well, I am relatively new to this arena, so it's been a year and a half. And then I started focusing on the capital raising side of the business last October. Haven't stepped on any deals to raise in this capacity, but in my other capacity, I did. I was executive director for an organization, the United States Tennis Association in St. Louis. So I was constantly raising money for that situation and our Hall of Fame and grants, writing grant requests and that kind of thing. So stepping over under the real estate sector, I've had a couple of opportunities to step on. I just haven't been comfortable in that capacity just yet.
Got it. Can you tell us about some parallels, or maybe you can compare and contrast the two environments, USTA versus what you're seeing in capital raising for multifamily?
Well, with the USTA, a lot of it was community oriented. Even though we did professional tournaments and national tournaments, a lot of it was community oriented and raising money for the magazine and our outreach so that we could get people, in that regard. So thinking of how to help people and getting people involved in those type situations. So the same with, I feel the opportunity or with the programs that I would want to get involved with or capital raise for. It would be companies like Catherine Bell that we had talked about earlier, and what she does and her outreach. She's very outreach oriented. So I want to relate to people and relate with people and bring in people that's community minded and want to build and on those kind of things, and the 501c3 and all.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned Catherine Bell, a mutual friend of ours, and wonderful person, has also been interviewed here on the ROIClear podcast. One of the things I really admire about Catherine is she's always learning. She's
Oh,
always learning something. I was at lunch with her last week and she pulled out her phone and showed me this AI tool that she's using to write scripts for videos and to generate to generate not only the scripts for the videos, but to behave as a teleprompter. So when you're recording your video, you can look directly at the phone slash camera and it comes out very crisp and professional. She's always learning. And I love the work she's doing with adoption. She just,
yes,
like you, she has her hands on many, on many levers.
yes. She's wonderful. So I am working with her. Well, I wish she'd shared the teleprompter thing with me. I'm going to scoot this over. Maybe if I could scoot you over. I'm looking both ways. But she did share another thing with us last week. And, you put your phone on this and it captures it, puts it into a PDF right away. And it was fabulous. The
Yes.
teleprompter would be really good right now.
Yeah,
Not that I'm reading anything, but yeah,
Well, since she
she's
shared that
amazing.
link with me, I can pass it on to you. No problem. I can do that.
Okay,
I'll look for it on my
that
phone.
sounds
I'd
great.
gladly
Real
share
quick.
that. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, she's doing an event, and I'm helping plan that event. She found out about my event planning background.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we're looking at doing her first indoor or in-person event in January. It'll be
Yes.
likely in Phoenix, and she probably told you about that. And so looking forward to that opportunity. And I mean, I would love to partner with Catherine on raising for what she's doing, those kind of people. And that's kind of with the USTA. It was outreach and helping these communities and getting these, community centers up and running and giving these kids rackets and opportunities. So it was all the fun, glitzy stuff. You got to go to the US Open and sit in the president's box, one time a year, but it was great. But it was that kind of fun, those kids and the community stuff. So I just resonate towards people that are that way. And I feel Catherine's heart and her company and all the things that she does and the different opportunities. So
Sure. Would you like to share with us some info about the event, or is it too early, or would you like to maybe give a teaser about the event that's coming up?
She's actually got a virtual event coming up at the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping with that until my daughter had the situation that I mentioned. And so I kind of stepped away with that, but it's a free event. It's going to be wonderful, and it will lead right into the in-person. So it's just, she's creating a platform to help women improve their financial landscape, have control, have confidence. She's given them a community. There's follow-up. Yeah, she's just all about empowering women.
Wonderful.
Which is great.
Wonderful.
She's been in that situation where her husband passed away, and, and she had developed some multiple streams of revenue that saved her. And she knows there's so many people, including me, in the same situation. So.
Yeah, I love her. What is her phrase? She specializes in adding commas to bank accounts.
Yeah. that might have been something she didn't want out there, but.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it's out there now.
You were asking me if there's anything I shouldn't. No, I'm happy to promote that. Actually, we're getting ready. We're starting to promote the in person. So, yeah, I would love to connect anyone with that. It's a free event. It's going to be interesting. I am looking forward to that. I'm hoping my days are free enough to watch it.
Yeah. When you share the info with us, we'll make sure to include that in the show notes.
Will do.
I do want to drill down into what you're doing, everything that you're doing right now, or things that you've done, and your background and all of the things that you have going on. You're doing work with capital raising and investor relations. Certainly, that is your calling. You've taken what you've done with the United States Tennis Association and moved that into what you're doing with multifamily. Tell us more about that. Like, maybe she can give us, tell us some stories or share a little bit more info about that, and we can drill down into that together.
Well, I just have always, when I was married, and we always invested in real estate. But we never had the real estate working for us other than gaining value. I have an uncle who's in the business, who's in real estate, very successful entrepreneur. He's in the business, who's in real estate, very successful entrepreneur. He's now, he's a keynote speaker and all. And back when I was a kid, he would talk to my mom and he would try to mentor my mom. And he's my dad's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So he was far. They're in Charleston. And he would mentor her and I would be listening in on all of this stuff. So I've always had this desire to, or this knowing that we could be doing more, that my mom could be doing more, even though she had her hands full. She was a single mother, that somehow she could be, according to my uncle, according to Frank, there was more opportunity by building wealth underneath you and businesses and having people work for you and help leverage your work. And
yes.
So I grew up knowing that, and I got married, and my husband, successful, took great care of us, very fiscally conservative,
mm-hmm.
wasn't going to go outside of, he bought real estate, we bought real estate, but again, it just gained value, that kind of thing. He
mm-hmm.
used it for his own needs and purposes, which is his business, but he didn't rent to that, he just didn't have the equity working for us, and
mm-hmm.
buying more. And so I got divorced and just felt like I needed to do more. I was traveling at that point. I had changed jobs from the USDA and traveling the world. And that's kind of how I got involved with the Airbnb, wanting to get involved with them, buy up. So I was looking in St. Louis, which is a great city. And I used Airbnbs all over the world. With that job, I traveled all over the world and I would extend. And so I wanted to show off St. Louis, offer
mm-hmm.
the same kind of things. Eventually, I found out people were buying Airbnbs as passive investors,
mm-hmm.
and getting the benefits of ownership and cash flow and value gained and all. So started looking that way. I was looking to house hack, and in the meantime, I had taken, when I'd finished traveling with COVID, so I lost like 30 weeks of travel and business in about 2 weeks in March 2020, and I ended up taking a COVID job, which was in-home sales and pretty intense. Never knew my schedule, 6 days a week, and I did that for 3.5 years. So inside of that 3.5 years, I was still digging, listening to podcasts, more and more real estate stuff. I'd started with Dale Wamsley back in the day and just listening to more and more, knowing I should be just feeling that pull to be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
So a master came to St. Louis, and it was taught now. And family loved the sound of it. I found it perfect. In with the group. Operations sounded great to me. I identified with the capital raising side. I brought in a partner. And then shortly after I brought in for a year, brought my partner in. She did every bit of the learning curve and the path and everything. And so we probably underwrote, and I brought an underwriter in. He was fantastic on it and enjoyed it. And we probably underwrote 100 deals in 2023 for the 6 months of, that 6 months into 2024 somewhat. But nothing really panned out. 2023 was kind of tough. And that's when I started thinking maybe I should hone in on capital raising. So I started, researching that, looking, and I found Hunter Thompson Raise Masters and loved it. Yes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to join and I'll have other people like me. And nope, I joined, and it's like walking into Ivy League school. People like Ray are sitting next to you on these calls, and they've got 200 Zoom sessions or podcast sessions under their belt already, and they're raising money for their 8th $30 million deal, and they're just blowing up their game, doing more. And I'm very inspired and blown away how everyone's so helpful and generous with their help and tips and time, and it's been great. I wish I'd found this first. But I don't regret all the knowledge that I learned with this syndication. And so will I be an operator at some point? I don't know. I'm happy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if the right deal comes on. But I was happy to learn that you could raise money and earn your way on to someone else's operation if you find the right people.
Yes.
Hence,
Hmm.
again, looking for the right deals and the right operators.
And as you said, because there's so many achievers, people like you, look at everything that you've done in your life and all the things that you've done. Your background puts you in a great position to do the raising that you're doing right now. It's like a foundation that elevates you so you can achieve there. And I know there are people that look up to you and gain inspiration from you and learn from you as well. So it goes multiple ways, It goes
Well,
multiple ways.
I love people. I love networks. I love giving people a leg up. I've just always been a natural fit for me if I can.
Yes, yes,
But what's held me back? I mean, nothing's ever held me back from people or talking or, getting in a room.
yes,
But this perfection thing in my brain that holds you back, the imposter syndrome, if you will. No,
yes,
I don't want to be who I'm not, and I want to own everything before I do it. So
right.
that has slowed me up some. I have had people ask me to raise for them, and I'm just like, well, I'll do a little bit, but I just need to dive in and get that accomplished and just realize, put a lot of time in, let's just keep going.
I
Let's
like
just go
that.
with it
Keep
and
going.
step out.
And what were you saying earlier about Tim Mai, what you were doing with Tim Mai, 25 meetings a week or something along those lines?
Oh, yes. Well, Tim Mai is also a raised master's graduate, I believe, and so he's got just a challenge. We work with people, and it's called the 8-week intensive. And this it couldn't be a worse time to be in an intensive challenge right now. But so it's to raise $1 million in 8 weeks.
Yes.
And some of us came in with deals to raise for, and some don't. But we're getting to the point where he's got deals, but I'll have to look at the deals, and I just don't want to. I just want to be sure of who I'm raising for. But he's made some wonderful introductions for me
Yes.
with 2 powerhouse women, and to see if I could help them, assist them with deals they've got going. So it's in the works. We'll see what pans out.
Got it. Got it. Got it. All
Yeah,
right.
I would have already jumped in with them. I looked at all their stuff, and I'm blown away by the caliber of who they are, and but they're so busy. It's just getting them to step away, I think, to send me what
Yeah.
they have. So
Yep. 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 We are, there's so much more that I would want to dig into with you. We're coming towards the end of our time together because, we end right around 20, 30 minutes. I want to make sure we respect your time, respect the time of our guests and everyone, our guests and our listeners. As we wrap up, you're a reader, clearly a learner. You've got the mentorship program and you're in Raise Masters. What are some things that you're reading now or listening to now as you build your expertise in this area?
well, I'm reading. My uncle wrote a book, so he's a entrepreneur, as I said. He overcame a huge background, his childhood, my grandmother, his mother. They had like 6 children. She was single family. And he was basically illiterate until his 30s. He grew up in Alabama, and he had a learning disability, which was never diagnosed, in a poor community and no one taking a hold of it. And they just told him he was a bad kid, and he never bought it. He quit school at 6th grade, and he started working, and he faked his way through. In his 30s, he met his wife, who was 21 or so, and she was getting her second master's in special education. And she identified instantly that he couldn't read and that he had a learning disability, but she didn't tell him. And he proposed to her and said, but I have to tell you, I can't read. And so within weeks, she had him reading, and he has gone on to, I think he's got over 900,000 people in his network. He's huge. He's gone on to be a franchisee, or he owns franchises.
Right.
Opened a bookstore. He first thing he did was open a bookstore, and he'd always worked, but it was labor, but he knew his book's amazing. Like, I learned things about him in a family that I never knew because we were estranged from my father. So, you think you read all this and you're like, okay, what else is there to learn? And you're reading who, not how. And, there's so much great advice, and the podcasts are wonderful. But I got this, he sent this book to me before it came out. And, he had these businesses, and in his 60s, he's now in his 80s, but he still speaks, he's still on podcasts, he's still out and about.
Mm-hmm.
But he got into real estate in his 60s. So the last 15 years, he's got single family homes, he's got all this, but he's like, buy trailer parks. Jesus, there's like 3 things that can go wrong. That's it. Buy trailer parks. So he's got an assortment of real estate and commercial buildings and all. And, but he sent, this is the book.
Yes.
You see it. But the 10 legacy lessons of wealth.
Yes.
What the wealthy teach their children that the masses don't know. So not only does it talk about overcoming obstacles and believing in yourself and not letting your mindset drag you under, which, man, do I need him as a mentor? But it also is telling you your inner circle. It's all these tips, and you've got to seal these things up, and you can't have people in your inner circle that are going to bring you down. And you've got to, so he's got all these great, you've got a problem, don't see it as a problem. You make it a project. You turn your problem into a project, or
yes,
lifelong friends, how to take strangers and turn them into lifelong friends, and what the importance is of that.
Right.
He has the 5 magical hinges of wealth. Be respectful. Don't mess it up. Taught his kids. Be respectful. Be on time. Be prepared. Let's see. What else? So he's got all these amazing tidbits that, yes, it goes into investing. Assets versus liability. Is your house an asset or is it a liability? Well,
it's a liability.
It's a liability unless you're written part of it. So, and he got that from Kiyosaki, and he's friends with a lot of these people, and he credits them. It's really good. And it's fun. He's a storyteller.
Yes.
I mean, he had to be a storyteller. He couldn't read, so he had to hear things and remember them and all. So, yeah, I'm glad that you asked me so that I get him a little shout out here.
That's wonderful. I just found his book on Amazon. I'm going to have to get that and read it. Just what you've described is so inspirational. He, like you said, left school at 6th grade and, never learned how to read in the school system or what have you. And then, but functioned well. And it was his fiance who knew he couldn't read before he told her. He told her, he came out and
And Teresa has her own books. I mean, together they've been extremely successful.
Yes.
And they've mentored so many people. I just didn't realize until I read this book, I knew he was an exceptional guy, But,
yeah.
But wow, yeah. So
okay.
I really was tempted to try and bring him on this morning with me, but maybe a different time. He'd be happy to talk your ear off. So
yeah, you know what? Feel free to do an email introduction, and he can talk our ears off. If that's the case, then we'll split it up into part 1 and part 2 or whatever it is we have to do. We'll work with it. But I'm gonna read the book and then get people like that, people like you, high achievers who are doing wonderful things. Those are the things that inspire us here. So we're grateful.
Thank you, Ray. That's so nice of you to say.
Yeah, we're grateful. Well, my goodness, Myra Rowan, it has been a pleasure having you here on the ROIClear podcast. I love listening to people like you who are doing great things, and I look forward to having you back after you've closed a few more deals. You've done some in the past, you're going to do more, and we look forward to having you back when you do that, when you knock those deals out, Myra. So
thank you, Ray. I appreciate you and all of you at Ray's Masters as well. So this has been great.
Thank you. And thank you for engaging the ROIClear podcast. At ROIClear, we buy multifamily apartment properties, we improve them, and we give people a great place to live. At the same time, we give investors an opportunity to enjoy capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid return on investment. If you'd like to know more, click the link to roiclear.com down below. We look forward to speaking with you.